Noah, and returning today by popular demand is Bo Polney. Bo, welcome back to the show.
Oh, what a pleasure to be here, Noah. We are in some extremely exciting times. What an amazing world we live in. And I think I know we have a lot to talk about today, Noah. So thank you so much for having me back. I appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Thank you for being here, Bo. For those of you who don't know Bo, that we always get new viewers every time. I want to tell you, Bo you may have seen him before on CNBC's Crypto Trader Show. You've probably seen him a lot on YouTube. He's been viewed over 5 million times on YouTube. Bo is a analyst of time, is what he calls himself. And Bo, I'll let you explain that in just a minute. But Bo looks at the cycles in our world, the cycles that come from the Bible, the cycles that repeat themselves over and over, and then he applies them to what's happening in our world, what's happening in politics, what's happening with gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies. He's the founder of gold2020forecast.com. He's been the headline speaker at dozens of conferences all over the world, and we are just pleased to have him back here with us again today. So, Bo, again, welcome to the show. You have put together an amazing presentation. We wanted to have you back on. We had you on just probably about a month ago at this point, and I've been getting so many questions from people asking, what's Bo saying next? He said February, March, April. Is that still the case? What's happening? What should we be watching for? So, Bo, I want to let you take it away, but we are excited to talk to you about politics, about maybe President Trump, about gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies.
Thanks, Noah. Yes, I'm not changing anything. There's nothing to change. The timelines that I laid out last February, March of last year, it was crystal clear. We're living in biblical, and when I mean biblical times that have been written about within the Bible, within the Torah. These times have been written about for over 2,000 years. We have the privilege to be living in these timelines. And like I stated last year, the cycle timeline that's overlaying everything is as in the time of Noah, the Noah cycle, from the time the door closed to when he stepped off the ark into the new world, into the new era. It was 370 days. The start date was the 21st of April, 2020. And as you know, Noah, when oil went to zero, or actually negative 38, that started that cycle, which doesn't end until the end of April, the last week of April, which is technically the 26th of April. So that the incredibly important timeline that we have is April 23rd to April 26th. Somewhere in that window of time, we should expect all of these crazy events to have come to like in the movies, come to a seasonal finale, but all of these ends are supposed to come, all of these cycles are supposed to come to an epically important finale time point that ends somewhere between the 23rd and the 26th of April, 2021. And then that would then step into the new world, the new era, the new timeline, beginning the end of April, starting, May 1. So our world is supposed to go through incredible changes these next 2 months and 10 days, whatever it is. But today we're recording on the 18th of February. So all of these things are going to come together. And remember, when God's involved, you can't lose hope. You have to stand firm in your faith, because remember, it doesn't take God more than a few hours to change everything. And so if you think there's no time left, there's more time left, and God only needs a few hours, maybe a day, to change everything. We are coming into some incredibly awesome times. Like I talked to you at the beginning of this, Noah, I do believe all of this starts. We should start seeing things begin to happen as early as next week, anytime on or after the 22nd of February. So we'll see. But again, that doesn't change anything with relation to the timeline for the end of April. So I believe we're here. We are here for an incredibly awesome change in our world that we have waited for generations, Noah. And the world is going to be shocked, absolutely shocked, with how this plays out, because I don't know how it plays out either. But it's going to be so exciting to watch the hand of God change our world as we know it.
Well, now you can see why we wanted Bo back on the show and why he's always such a popular guest. Bo, I want to be really clear for people, maybe if they're tuning in for the first time, or just to remind people that have heard your interviews before, go back and listen to Bo's old interviews that he's done with us. Bo is one of the few people who was not talking about December as being a hot point or January. Bo was always saying, I don't know, it looks more like February, March, April to me, based on the time cycles I'm seeing. Back when everybody was thinking we might have something around Christmas time, or when people were looking at January 6th or January 20th. Those were not your time frames that you were telling us about. And so want everybody to remember that things are not changing. We are just coming into the heart of the time that you said, start to pay attention when we get to this time zone, because you might start seeing things accelerate pretty quickly, and it might be one thing right after another. Right, Bo?
Exactly. Like I was saying, these things, they might just see things start popping off one after the other. And when I say these are big events that are going to start to happen. So what events they are, we're going to have to watch. But you're right. Everybody was watching the timelines of these, the election, the inauguration. None of those dates ever lined up with anything within the cycles that I was looking at. So it's interesting that nothing really did happen of interest on those dates, particularly even, inauguration day. Everyone's like, well, the prophets all got it wrong. You have to remember, the prophets said that Trump gets a second term. Everybody interpreted that Trump's going to be put back in office on the 20th of January, right? But again, none of this that's all man's time. So all of these dates were created by man. God runs his own calendar. And so what do? I do cycle analysis of the Bible. I overlay the biblical cycles of time on our present world. Is it crazy? Yes, absolutely. I find it crazy. But the truth of the matter is that the cycle timelines that we've had so far, especially since 2020, the last 9-10 months, have been to the day accurate. So it's rather fascinating, because now we have a whole bunch of dates coming up here very soon. And so we'll see how this plays out. But let's talk about God's timeline.
Well, Bo, quick, let me jump in there really quick, because I want to tell people, maybe if they're new, what you just said is exactly how I came to know you. I saw some of your videos on YouTube when you were on Greg Hunter's show. And by the way, quick pause, Greg Hunter, a mutual friend of both of ours and a good guy. We'd like to he was banned by YouTube, taken down for no reason. So I know there's probably a lot of people out there that have seen Greg Hunter's show and like his show. We want to give you a quick note. Go find him at usawatchdog.com. He's still live on his website. And if you haven't seen his videos for a while on YouTube, it's because they took him down because he was telling too much truth. So quick shout out to Greg for doing great work. But that's where I first saw you, Bo. And that was when you were talking about a couple important dates in 2020. And we watched those happen. We watched oil go negative, and we watched on September 18th when you said something big is going to happen for the nation. And that's when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. So I've got the history with you of watching these things from the beginning come to play. So you always tell us that you don't know exactly what's going to happen. You just know when big inflection points are coming. And I think now you're going to walk us through some of those. But I want people to have the history there that we've been chronicling you for a while on our website and following you. And the reason we like having you back on is because things do happen, and you tell us in advance.
Thanks, Noah. No, I appreciate it. But again, it's just, as much as I want to take credit for it, I'm God's messenger, pushing out a message to the world, trying to get the world to be awake to the truth, or soon wake up to the truth, because boy, the changes that are coming are going to be incredibly epic. They're going to be changes that we can't really imagine, because no one, for thousands of years, no one's really seen these kind of changes. First key, and again, these are biblical time points, right? So forget about man's timeline. Forget about it, because honestly, all of this is going to play out in God's timeline. Okay, so the next critical timeline is coming up here in March. So if you go back to September 23rd of 2017, that's prophecy was written over 2,000 years ago, the starry alignment. Okay, so this is not astrology. This is prophecy. The prophecy was 2,000 years ago written that this starry alignment would occur. Virgo would give birth, and then Virgo would go to safety, and she wouldn't return until 1,260 days. Well, 1,260 days precisely is this March. We're talking March 6th. So how incredible that we're just days away from March 6th happening. But remember, if she returns on March 6th, is because she left because it was dangerous or not safe, but she returned, so it must be safe. So something huge is supposed to happen between now, this time point, and the 6th of March. So we'll see. And again, my cycles show that we have something big potentially starting next week. And like I said, it's the 4-2-1 cycle, so we could see something big potentially start on the 22nd of February. That's the fourth, which is 2-2 and a 4 in the year 2021. So we'll see if that is an important date, but I do believe my cycles point to something big starting next week on or about the 22nd of February. To start, the timeline, the biblical timelines. The next key cycle timeline that I want to talk about, actually there's 3 cycles, Noah, that you and I have talked about. I believe I've talked to you with all 3 of them. I'm not sure about the Nixon cycle, but there's 3 cycles that are all overlaying each other, which is incredible. How does that happen unless it's biblically ordained by God? So God basically overlays 3 cycles, the Noah cycle, the Moses cycle, and the US dollar cycle, the Nixon cycle, all to the last week is when the end of April. So between the 23rd and the 26th of April, all of these cycles come to an exact end. So that's, to me, it blows my mind that actually could happen. So let's go through the first cycle, which is the Nixon cycle. He detaches the link between gold and the dollar on August of 71. 49 years later was this past August 20th of 2020. So now we are in a Jubilee year. So biblically, please read Leviticus 25:9. And I took out the key words. Leviticus 25:9 clearly states, sound the trumpet on the 10th day of the 7th month. Okay, so we know the new year started on Tishri 1, which is September 19th. That was right when Ginsburg died. Remember that one, Noah? So that's
Absolutely.
when Bader Ginsburg dies. So then we go 10 days, 7 months. That takes us to April 23rd of 2021. So that's the first cycle. And it says clearly in Leviticus 25:9, proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. 50-year Jubilee. The key date for that is April 23rd of 2021. So what happens? I don't know. But this was written about thousands of years in the Bible. So we're about to watch something maybe huge go down. The next cycle, which is the Moses cycle, Moses from Passover, when Pharaoh, and we've talked about this before, so I'll just go quickly through it, but from when Passover ends, Pharaoh releases Israel and Moses. They go to the Red Sea, it takes 20 days. End of Passover at 20 days. It takes us to April 24th, 25th of 2021. The same exact time point, give or take 24, 48 hours as Leviticus, which is incredible. And then the last cycle, which is Noah's cycle, which is the cycle that we've talked about, 370 days from oil going to zero. From oil going to zero, 370 days takes you to April 26th of 2021. Mind-blowing how all of this happens. All of these time points are culminating to an explosion, a massive shift, a historic time point of April 23rd to the 26th of 2021. So that's all I can say. All I know is that it's an impossibility to have these cycles overlay each other like that to a precise time point going back thousands and hundreds of years. Wow, that's all I can say. And all I know is that God's in control, and God is going to move His hand. The United States was founded under God through the Constitution. 1/3 of that Constitution is right out of the Bible. Okay, so God's not about to lose, and that's all I can tell you.
Love that, Bo. I love it. So again, you don't know what's going to happen, but it's like a bunch of megaphones all sounding at the same time that this is going to be a very key 5 days, week time period in April that something major is going to happen.
Exactly. That's like Moses, right? He raises the staff up all of a sudden the sea opens. No one knew that was going to happen. So the point is, no one knows what's going to happen at that time point. Only God does, because God has a plan, right? All I know is that it's going to be a godly moment. And that godly moment is preordained and designed by God. So we will watch.